Hey guys, Lizardlea here for Christmas Minis 2022 Dormouse. Or at least I'm assuming that's what I'm going to call it, because it's a little mouse in a teapot. It's Dormouse. Well, so I googled it to make sure I wasn't going crazy, because I was like, it's the Dormouse from Alice in Wonderland. He was in a little teapot. Dormouse is spelled D-O-R-M-O-U-S-E, not D-O-O-R. I didn't know that. So editing, Liz, remember to spell Dormouse correctly. Also, did a little bit more with this. Or I changed it up a little bit. I tried it the other way, where I have the X's on top and nothing below, and I did not like how that looked when I was looking at it. So, confirmed it will be closer to my upper arm if I do the stitches partially. And then I was like, well, maybe I can make it look like I'm bringing the needle back to where it's supposed to be. And I didn't want to cover the scar anymore, so I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I am going to my niece's birthday party later, so hopefully I can finish this before I go. Otherwise, it'll be later.
All right. So, I barely remember, but we watched
give a quick synopsis.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
Cyberpunk Edge Runner.
Yes.
So the background here is gazillions of years ago in like the 80s, someone made a tabletop RPG, or some sort of world that had a tabletop RPG called Cyberpunk, and it's dystopian future where the world is kind of run by these major corporations, and there's a lot of really, really cool concepts and ideas. Fast forward, CD Projekt Red makes a game called Cyberpunk 2077, which has Keanu Reeves in it, and it's a mixed reception, to say the least, for a variety of reasons we don't have to go into. Either way, it has some gorgeous concepts and some really good ideas, and whether it executed them well or not doesn't matter, because Netflix then got, I want to say Studio Trigger, who is known for doing over-the-top, crazy, stylized, violent stuff, to make Cyberpunk Edge Runner. And it's set in the exact same world and has a lot of call-outs to like visual designs and things in the game that kind of freshen the world up to a more modern age. And just does a really, really good job of telling a very solid story that fits the world, the motifs, like just everything that it should be. It's still very anime about certain parts of it, which is kind of expected. It's extremely adult, so for the record, as is standard on this cute cross-stitch channel, this stuff is absolutely not for children.
Oh, yeah, no way.
Or the sensitive of nature. So, very violent and some sex stuff. But it's really, really well executed, I think. Oh, gosh, excuse me.
And the main character's name is David.
Yes, it is.
I forgot that. I just Googled it, and I was like, oh, that's right.
So the short version, to give a rough idea of what's going on, is David is going to a fancy school, and his mom's a nurse, and she's trying to send him to this hyper-expensive school so he can succeed, and of course the world is incredibly corrupt and violent. Like, street crime is ridiculous, and there's also this concept of cyberpsychosis, which is kind of key to the story. So in this era, you can modify your body with like mechanical augments. Sort of a... Gosh, I'm trying to think of a movie or a game that's famous that did it, but whatever.
It's not quite Full Metal Alchemist.
Well, yeah.
It's Full Metal Alchemist plus more.
Yeah.
You get metal parts that are clearly stronger than normal human parts, but there's also, like, the main character, he gets his spine essentially augmented.
Yeah.
And it allows him to sometimes,
move
I don't remember if it
the
makes him
world.
faster or if it makes everybody else slower.
No, it makes him faster, yeah.
Yeah, so he's, like, moving 100 times faster than everybody else. So when he, activates it or whatever, he can, like, walk down a street and he'll get to the other end and not a single person will have noticed it. Dude, you need to get it out. Get it. Cough it out. Get it out.
It doesn't work that way.
I'm kidding.
So, point is, obviously the question is, well, then why doesn't everyone have these? One, they're horribly expensive and often quite illegal. And two, the people who start modding themselves this way, they often do it for legitimate reasons because they're in the military or they're in a corporation or they're basically what he becomes, which is kind of a mercenary. And they need it to do their job. But the more stuff you get, the more likely you are to go just blisteringly crazy.
Yeah.
Until you essentially end up going on a killing spree, and then they'll call in Max Tech on you, which is like the cops with all the top-of-the-line military weaponry who will just obliterate you, and thus you end. So, with that as the setup, he has a tragedy strike. He finds this Sandevistan, which is a little thing that goes on his spine. Not a little thing. It basically, it's like stabbed into his spine.
Yeah. It's as long as his spine.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And it allows him to start moving incredibly quickly. There's also, worth noting, like, kind of a hacker subculture group God, what are they called? Netrunners.
He's a bit of a hacker himself, isn't he?
No.
Whoa.
It's the girl.
He tried at the school
Yeah.
to hack something and it exploded. And
Yeah.
that's what caused the issues with him at school. Or what's...
One of the many
Yeah.
things.
He's very poor and everyone can tell. So, of course, they're all high class and they stick their noses up at him.
Yeah. But that's not like the main focus of the thing. That's what I like, is they use that to kind of quickly set up the character, because that's a
Yeah.
cliche we've all seen before, but they don't stick with that for very long.
No, they really don't.
Um,
Because then he and his mom are on the highway.
yeah. And then we find he kind of joins this band of misfits, they're all called, I believe, edge runners, or they work for a fixer, and the term in world is, I don't remember, doesn't matter. They're basically mercenaries. They do odd jobs that often involve violence and treachery and theft. You know, what you could be like steal something from somebody, it could be rescue somebody from someone, it could be whatever. It doesn't matter. That's just what they are. And it's very much watching him grow up with the various characters around him who kind of become his family, and adapting. I don't know, it's sort of like watching the candle burn brighter sort of thing. And it's just really, really well executed. First of all, it's gorgeously animated. They do so many clever, creative, well-animated scenes that are just phenomenally done. So already that helps. And then they also do a really, really good arc for all the characters, even though they're kind of crude and gross and weird and stupid and strange. They're very... They feel like people. They all have like wants and needs, and there's some very relatable like mini tropes in there. Like, yes, this is tropey, but we're not going to over focus on it, like love triangles and things like that.
Oh gosh,
Yeah. Like, it's there to give the person a little bit of depth, but we're not going to make that a huge part of the plot. It's just know that this person is a person with desires and isn't going to get what they want, you know?
Yeah.
It also does a pretty good job of including some of the characters from the cyberpunk world, which isn't just in just the game, it's actually the world itself, which again is bigger than the game, but whatever. And showing them off and making them live up to their hype. The final fight especially is incredibly well done.
It's across the city.
Yeah. And like, it also helps, that's what I was trying to think of. Dread is kind of a similar dystopia in that the events of Dread are a blockbuster action movie in today's world, and in Dread's world, that's a Tuesday. And that's kind of the vibe of Cyberpunk Edge Runner as well. And that this is a little bit more, by the end of it, a little bit more unusual than just a Tuesday, but it's still a February. You know, it's not that.
It's not world ending for them.
Yeah, even though, like, you know, tons of damage is done, all sorts of chaos occurs.
It's fixable. They've prepared for moments like this.
Or it's just, that's everyday life for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like living in Metropolis. Like, how many times can you really be like, oh no, aliens are invading, before you're like, oh, I'm gonna be late for work.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Someone get Superman
Where's
out
Superman?
Here. Someone go get Clark. Does he still think we don't know? Glasses, really?
I'm just saying, my best friend in the world, when I was in middle school, rang our doorbell. I had my glasses off because my eyes were hurting, I answered the door, and she called me by my mother's name and asked for Liz. And I kind of just stared at her. And I shut the door. I grabbed my glasses and I came back. And she was like, at first she was like, oh, hey, Liz. Oh, wait a minute. And I was just like, yeah, you thought I was my mother. So I'm just saying, my best friend who saw me daily could not tell who I was when I took my glasses off.
Counterpoint, people think I've always had glasses.
See, this is the issue with glasses, is people get very confused. And they get used to you looking one way. And then also, like, I thought Superman was supposed to, like, when he's Clark Kent, he kind of, like, hunches over and makes himself just look smaller.
No, because he's supposed to be a farmer boy, so he grew up with proper posture and working on the farm with Ma and Pa. And
oh, doesn't he wear clothes that are, like, too big so he doesn't look as muscular as he actually is?
Maybe it's true. I can't guarantee it's true, but maybe it's true.
I don't know. Superman and Batman were never my favorite because they're just perfect, and I don't like that. Anyways.
I would disagree, but that's not the point of this conversation.
No, it's not. Maine was my favorite character, so you can imagine what happens to Maine. And he was with... It looks like the right character, Dorio.
Mm-hmm.
She is a big, buff woman. Yeah, like, it literally says she's jacked and strong.
Yep.
Like, I loved her because she's not your stereotypical female love interest like Lucy, the main girl. She's the opposite. Like,
well, to be fair, she's the side love interest. She's not the...
Well, yeah, she's Maine's love interest.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with this, is like, she is a big, buff girl that at certain scenes, when they filmed her from certain angles, when I didn't realize it was her, I thought it was a dude. And they were in love, and they were together. And he was bigger than her. But I appreciate that the show didn't just do fan service, especially with the women. They made a woman that is a real life body type, and they still let her, be kind of feminine and be a woman and be with a man. Like, I don't know. I appreciated it a lot. I really liked her.
Yeah, no, she was a great character. The main love interest for the main character is...
Lucy.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking as a character, she's passable. She wasn't, like, the best character in the show, but she's not the worst. If that makes sense.
Wasn't she the worst?
To you, maybe? I don't know.
Well, no, I'm trying to remember. I honestly don't remember her that much, other than just, like, yeah, she's the love interest. She can hack, but not as well as Kiwi? Was that her name?
I honestly...
Or maybe they ended up realizing she was better than Kiwi.
I honestly can't recall.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't remember.
Yeah, I actually thought Kiwi was more interesting, but yeah, I don't know either. They're both okay characters, but, like, it's...
I mean, it's about David. David is the main character, and Maine was his mentor type character?
Mm-hmm.
Or type character, type whatever, words.
He was words.
Yeah, he was words. Thanks, David, thanks.
Just letting you know.
It's been so long since we watched this show.
I mean, well...
It had some really good fight
there's
scenes.
The big hand guy, who's the brother of the little psycho girl who wants to blow everyone up with guns.
Yeah,
there's
he was
Maine,
kind of creepy.
And then there's, Maine, and then, the big girl who wants to beat everyone up, and the two hackers. The main love interest, I can't remember her name. And the one that just literally wants to, or the one that's just literally a better Kiwi, who's also a super hacker, and just... Does she have much of an arc?
Kiwi or Lucy?
Kiwi. I don't remember her having...
Yeah. Spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
She has a major arc. And I don't want to spoil it, so...
Yeah. No, it's a show that's worth watching if you can stomach these sorts of things. Again, it is obviously not for everybody. Quite violent, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, Falco. He was fun.
Oof, my throat.
Gloria Martinez was his mom. I don't know, how much do you want to spoil? We have, 2-3 more minutes.
2-3 more minutes. I don't think it's worth spoiling. I mean, I think it's worth remembering. It's a good show. It's a show worth watching. And it doesn't have to have a... How do I put it? I don't know. I don't want to say, it has any problems, but it didn't have to have anything extra added to it. It's completely over the top. And it's got some weak points, I'm sure, but it also still has, some really, really great points that just work incredibly well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so...
we finished in, what, a day and a half? Or was it a day? We
it's not that
blasted
long.
through it. True, but even then, I feel like there are some shows where it's kind of just a slog to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was just no, let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. No, now.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I did as well. It's just, I don't know how, it's hard to talk about without spoiling it.
Yeah.
And there's just so many good things in it, but at the same time, there's not quite enough to say, oh yeah, you should definitely... watch this or not. Most of it's going to be determined on can you handle the violence and the over-the-topness and all that. There's some really cool scenes, when certain characters start going insane. And the fights are just completely over-the-top nonsense, but they're great over-the-top nonsense. And it does just a really good world of, or a really good job of showing this is a world where, all these people... even though they seem larger than life, are...
still human.
They're not only that, but they're not that uncommon. They're uncommon, but they're not never heard of uncommon. And they're still, in the scheme of things, just, grinded up by the wheel of it all. The whole thing eats them alive sort of vibe.
Yeah.
And it's just really well done that they managed to pull that off with such a efficient sort of, plot. I can't overstress just how well this plot paces itself and kind of gets everyone through their arcs and shows off all these characters and whatnot. At first it seems okay, this is going to be just gratuitous and over the top, but it really does do a really very crazy job of hey, here's how you do it. Excuse me while I choke to death over here.
Don't do that.
I do what I want.
Stop that.
No.
Well, I have nothing else to add.
I'm good if you're good.
Okay.
And that is the end of Christmas Minis 2022 Dormouse. I got 2 hours and 26 minutes of footage. He's so cute. Look at him. Oh. I mean, the only thing about it that really says Christmas is that it's a poinsettia. But it's still so cute. I love it. Yeah, I finished with more than 2 hours of time before the party, so I did good. I don't have time to do another one because I don't know how long we're going to stay at the party. So, yeah. 2, 4, 7. That means I finished 8, though. And I said I needed, what? 13? Somebody's leaving, and I didn't make them one previously because they started after my previous batch. So I was well, I never got to know her, so I won't be making her one. So I have one less to do. So I originally had 14, but then I was somebody else quit last year, and I wasn't able to give them the cross stitch, and they don't live anywhere near me, so they're never going to get it. So that brings it to 13. And then another person is leaving. So that brings it to 12. That means I have 4 left. I am 2/3 of the way done. Nice. The only thing that sucks is I don't think I'm going to be able to fit 4 on here. 2 more for sure, but maybe not 4. So, we'll see. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys next video.